Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq, coming to you live from Hong Kong at SmartCon 2024 by Chainlink. Joining me for this segment, we have Emma Pecenicic. She's Head of Digital Propositions and Partnerships, Asia Pacific X Japan at Fidelity International. And we're here to discuss fund tokenization, how that can be scaled, and how Asia is playing a role in blockchain development. Emma, it is great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thank you, Jill.
Tell me a bit more about your role at Fidelity International.
Sure. I have two hats at Fidelity International. The first one is really about digital distribution, how we work with APAC X Japan online platforms to distribute mutual funds on their platform. And the second is that I lead digital asset globally for Fidelity International. So basically on the digital asset side, which is the topic of today, we have two main areas of focus. One is because we want to bridge traditional finance with decentralized finance. The first one is really how we bring crypto to traditional players, and that's why we have Bitcoin spot strategies to enable a large institution to invest into Bitcoin. And the second, which was the topic of the panel earlier today, was really around fund tokenization. And for fund tokenization, we see massive opportunities, with crypto companies, but as well, through all our traditional distributors that are upgrading their infrastructure.
Well, let's talk more about that on the panel that you sat on about scaling fund tokenization. That seems to be a topic that is coming up a lot at SmartCon. And just with our coverage in general, what are some of the key elements from your panel that viewers should understand?
Yeah, so scaling fund tokenization is not going to happen, tomorrow, next year, right? It's really a long journey. So at Fidelity International this year, we came with an approach of, client first and delivering, through our partnership with Signum, a digital twin that enabling Signum client to invest into one of our funds. But ultimate goal is to have a pure digital native fund. This means that, I don't have a token and a shares, but I really have a token that is the share, right? So, the digital twin concept enables you to start approaching this new client base that have different type of demands, use the fund as a collateral, and you really try to get closer from the clients with the digital twin concept. But ultimately, what the clients want now, we understood that is really digital native. So really having subscription, redemption of the fund that are managed on chain. And this will, take some time to get there.
What additional areas of opportunity do you see at the intersection of blockchain technology and traditional finance?
Yeah, on the crypto asset side, so ultimately, we, Fidelity Digital Asset has a survey that they released on the yearly basis, and 67% of global institutions have, seen our digital asset as part of a portfolio. We see that more than 50% of them having already allocation, and most of them want to increase their allocation in the next 12 months. So ultimately, how we enable access for large institutions to invest into Bitcoin, which is as a really unique, features in terms of an asset, right? It's cap supply, seen as a digital gold, diversification benefits, and as well a proxy for future prospects of around the blockchain technology, right? Yeah. So ultimately, this is a nice area for us to focus on top of fund tokenization.
I would say, Emma, there's a decent representation of women here at the event, which is encouraging to see. What advice,
we can do better.
We can do better,
yeah.
But having covered this space since 2018, it's nice to see that the representation is improving. What advice would you give to women if they're thinking about stepping into the technology space or even traditional finance?
Yeah, so I think if you're coming from technology, I guess you are used to learn fast because technology is evolving fast. So keep, having open interest about, the blockchain technology. Coming from finance, that's where it's a bit more difficult, and that's why we see, in the crypto space, being at the intersection of finance and technology, that's really difficult for women to get a natural interest, I would say. So, I've been a founding member of an association called Web3 Women, and ultimately, we focus a lot about mentoring and university. I launched a university, framework to really bring traditional, financial women, colleagues that wants to transition into blockchain to learn more about the basics, right? Blockchain 101, crypto 101, how I do custody, fund tokenization from, beginning to the end. So ultimately, you need to get a bit of the interest at the first stage and to get trained in order to learn more about the benefit of this technology.
So now you're based in Hong Kong.
Yes.
What role do you see Asia playing in terms of the growth of blockchain development and really emerging as an important region when it comes to this intersection of TradFi and DeFi?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of opportunities, right? Ultimately, and Hong Kong specifically. So first, we see, I mean, for my first hat, as I mentioned, tremendous growth of investors investing into online platforms. And I would say this is Web 2, but those clients will evolve into a Web 3 world at some point. And you see the large investment that is done by local companies, Chinese companies, or even global companies that are setting up here in Asia. So ultimately, this will, bring a lot of prospects for the region. And then from a regulatory perspective, specifically in Hong Kong, earlier this week, we've seen, the Hong Kong government, coming from their stance from last year where they clarified a lot around tokenization. This year we've seen local Bitcoin ETF as well, licensing of virtual asset trading platforms, and they said on Monday that they will enable more virtual asset trading platforms to be licensed, stablecoin regime, tokenization projects under the Ensemble, framework. All of that is a lot of opportunities for us to be in the region.
So it's really the regulatory environment
is
evolving
definitely
quickly, and it's I guess more business friendly, if you will, to operate as a Web3
business friendly, but on top of that, you have the demand, right, from the investor, large population, young and digital native. Yeah. That's why I meant with my first comment. I think it's important, right, because ultimately, if you go in a country where people are not at ease with the technology, you need to see, the client at the beginning, right, of all this effort, and then technology, regulatory will, come. Yeah, exactly.
All right, Emma, we appreciate the insight.
Thanks
for joining
Jill.
us on Trade
Thank
Talks.
you.
And thanks for joining me from SmartCon. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.